The AAC Report is brought to you by Blahut of Realty One Group. Whether you're looking to buy your very first home or looking to downsize or upgrade, call Blahut anytime at 407-748-0484. Welcome to the AAC Report, only on the Knightline Sports Network. I'm Jeff Allen. Thanks for the download and thanks for pressing play. Coming up on this week's show, I'll give you my nickel's worth on UCF because 2 cents is not enough. We look at the Iron Skillet Battle between SMU and TCU. Billy Embody of the Pony Stampede Podcast will join us to talk about that. He's in the virtual green room and we'll check in later in the show. But first, as always, we get you started with sound from the Coaches Monday teleconference as we look back at the Week 3 games and look ahead to Week number 4. Houston dropped its second game to a top 25 as Washington State rallied to a 31-24 victory in a Friday night game at NRG Stadium. Dana Holgerson, not much to say regarding that game, having already moved on to Tulane.
Looking forward to the first conference game here Thursday night in New Orleans. We are anxious to get into the conference play, and looking forward to the challenge that Tulane brings. They're on a little bit of a hot streak here. We understand that. They got some momentum from last year, going to a bowl and winning that, and then playing really well this year as well. So got a big challenge ahead for us on Thursday.
The Green Wave romped 58-6 over Missouri State coach Willie Fritz.
Well, a big win for us. We're excited about it. We came out of the box fast, offensively, defensively, kicking game. Returned the opening kickoff, I think 60 yards, and got a field goal out of the first possession. Got 4 takeaways during the ball game. Just really happy with the effort that we played with, and we're going to need that same type of effort and intensity this Thursday night on ESPN against Houston. Houston's got one of the top quarterbacks in the country. He can do it both ways. As quick as a cat, great speed. Also very accurate throwing the ball, can throw on the run, can throw in the pocket. So definitely one of the top QBs in the nation. And then they've got a great running game, got a couple great backs, big offensive line, great receivers, really talented and loaded on the offensive side of the ball. And defensively, really moving around a lot and showing you some different things, both on the front and in the back end. Just a very talented team and played a tough schedule here early in the year, and we're going to have to really be on point, Thursday night.
As you heard Coach Fritz say, the Cougs Green Wave Battle is Thursday night, 8 p.m. on ESPN. Houston leads the all-time series 17-6, having scored a victory last season in November by a 48-17 score. UConn continues its trek through the Big Ten after a bye week traveling to Indiana. Coach Randy Edsall.
Well, I thought we had a good bye week that, again, being a young team as we are, we're able to get out there and continue to get better, work on all the fundamentals, and work on our technique to enhance what we've been doing. Thought we played hard against Illinois, and now what we've got to do is just keep getting better each and every week, and thought we were able to do that with the practice we had last week, and now we have we go on the road to play Indiana, and another team that's from the Big Ten, who's a quality team that does a lot of things well in all 3 phases, and looking forward to going out and playing them.
The Huskies-Hoosiers matchup is a noon kick Saturday on the Big Ten Network. UConn leads the all-time series 2-0, but the last time they played was September 2006, when UConn had a 14-7 win there. 2-0 Temple comes off a hard-fought win over Maryland, which was ranked 21st going into that game. Owls coach Rod Carey.
Yeah, it was obviously, feels like a lifetime ago already because we're well on to Buffalo, but it was a great win. Thought our guys really executed through a lot of adversity in that game. Multiple points of the game that were critical parts, and our execution came through in the end from defense and then even the offense going on that go-ahead drive, and then the way we executed the end game scenario. So obviously a lot of things to clean up, kicking game, offense, and defense too, even though I thought we played dynamic on defense. Just there's still things to clean up. And so we're well on to that, made those corrections, and now we're on to Buffalo team, which, I know everyone's going to make a big deal that they lost their quarterback and, their wideout and their tight end that we just played, who's on Maryland's team right now, but they've reloaded. They're a good football team. There's no question. And they're strong. They're physical. It's a good football team. So we know we got our hands full and be our first time on the road too. So we have to deal with that. And
the Owls and the Bulls, that game is Saturday, 3:30 on ESPNU. Buffalo leads the series 8-4, having scored a victory the last time they played, September 2016. 1-2 Tulsa was defeated 40-21 by Oklahoma State. Coach Philip Montgomery.
Yeah, I was proud of our guys' effort. I mean, we've got to obviously cut down on the penalties. That's been a huge deal for us, especially this week. I thought, Oklahoma State jumped out to a good early lead, and then I thought our guys stayed resilient, battled back, took the lead before half, and had a lot of momentum. Just got to come out and do a better job of reestablishing that momentum in the second half and taking advantage of those situations that we have. As I look forward to Wyoming, they're coming in here 3-0. They beat Missouri the first week, so a very talented football team. Been playing great on defense, creating turnovers and making things happen, scored on special teams, and so a very well-rounded football team that's coming in here. Offensively, they run the football extremely well, and so it's going to be a great contest for us. Got to get back on the right track, ready to get back on the practice field and go to work.
The Golden Hurricane are home once again for that visit from Wyoming. That's Saturday at 3:30 on CBS Sports Network. Wyoming leads the all-time series 3-2, but the last time they played was November 1998, with Tulsa getting a 35-0 shutout. That from the history books. Navy rolled to a convincing 42-10 victory over East Carolina. Coach Ken Niumatalolo.
Feel very fortunate. This past week, I thought we played well. Really happy with the way we played. You always get concerned after a bye. I mean, the byes are good because it gets you some rest, but you don't know how you're going to come off that, the 2 weeks. But I was really pleased with the way we played in all three phases. I thought we played well. Defensively, did a really good job getting them off the field. So I was really pleased with that. I thought we played really well on offense. Malcolm is running our offense at a high level right now, and so pleased with the way he's running the offense and throwing the football. And I thought we played well on special teams. So just encouraged by what I saw Saturday. It's as good of a overall complete game that we played at our home stadium in a long time, so that was encouraging to see.
Navy, after moving to 2-0, is on a bye this week. Meanwhile, East Carolina coach Mike Houston talks about his team's loss to the Midshipmen and their upcoming battle with William and Mary.
Well, obviously, we're disappointed with not being able to get a win this past weekend at Navy. I thought, that Navy, coming off of a little bit of a down year last year, they'd had the one game in the opener against Holy Cross and in a couple of weeks to get ready for our game. I thought they looked vastly improved over what I saw on film from last year. But they played really, really well on Saturday. And I think, Coach Niumat had the same thoughts in his post-game presser. But, it's a tough way to start the league play. But at the same time, it's kind of the next step in the progression of our program with, where we're trying to go. And we obviously have to improve to the point where we're much more competitive against a team like that. So we're excited to be back at home this weekend in Daddy-Ficklin Stadium, taking on a quality CAA opponent in William and Mary. They had a big win last week against Colgate, 38-10. New coaching staff there at William and Mary. and they have a veteran roster and a very talented roster, and it should be a great matchup.
The Pirates match up with the Tribe Saturday evening at 6 on ESPN3. ECU leads the series 12-4 with one tie, winning the last game back in 2001. Cincinnati moves to 2-1 as they blitzed in-state rival Miami of Ohio 35-13. Bearcats coach Luke Fickell.
Yeah, last week obviously a rivalry game. It was I think 14 in a row for us with the rivalry game, so it's always great. The respect we have for them and for the rivalry is what's most important. We didn't play as great and as clean as we'd like to. We didn't start off real well, down 10-0, but rolled off 28 straight. I think from there in the second half really kind of controlled things and found our groove a little bit more. But noon games have been a little bit of a struggle for a start for us, and we got to do a much better job. But we are idle this week, so we got an opportunity for coaches to get out on the road and do some recruiting, which is where most everybody is today. We won't practice. We'll get back going Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, just really trying to get ourselves clean up a lot of the things right now. We're averaging way too many penalties, so for this week it's big to focus on ourselves. And it's not as easy to self-scout yourself after only 3 games, but we really got to do a good job at cleaning up some things offensively and defensively to not put ourselves in a tougher situation. We'll spend a lot of this week doing that.
So the Bearcats, after the bye, will square off with Marshall next week. Memphis remains undefeated at 3-0. They scored an easy 42-6 win over South Alabama. Coach Mike Norvell.
I was really proud of our guys going on the road and getting a victory against a good South Alabama football team. I thought our guys prepared well. We maintained good focus. Had a little adversity the night before with the fire alarm in the hotel, which kind of added to that. But I thought our guys did a great job in all 3 phases of being able to control the game defensively. We were able to stop the run. We were very aggressive in our attack. Special teams were able to flip the field, had a couple nice returns, and then offensively, we wanted to be able to establish a running game, and we rushed over 300 yards, which I was really pleased to see. But got to play a lot of different faces. We're continuing to grow up as a football team, trying to build our depth. But we know, coming into conference play, it's only going to get tougher. We start off with Navy, who's playing at an extremely high level. They've been dominant in both of their first 2 games, and so we know we have our hands full in every phase, and we've got to maximize every day of preparation.
Yeah, so with the Tigers facing Navy on a Thursday night, the following week they both get the bye this week. South Florida gets its first win of the season over FCS South Carolina State 55-16. The Bulls got a boost from Jordan McLeod coming in at quarterback, accounting for 5 TDs, 3 in the air, and 2 on the ground. Head coach Charlie Strong.
Well, it was just good to get back on track. It's been a long time. We went through a slump there where we hadn't won. And so for our guys to come out and compete and play as well as they played. And South Carolina State, and they were a good football team, well-coached football team, but for us to play and then get the turnovers and then play, we made a change our quarterback. And Jordan McLeod played very well. So we get this weekend. We got a lot of work. We still got to improve. We got to get better. We're not near where we should be. So we have this week to heal up some wounds and then get ready for SMU coming in here in a couple of weeks.
And time now for my Nickelsworth on UCF, since 2 cents is not enough on UCF's 45-27 thumping of Stanford. First, let's hear from Coach Josh Heupel.
Yeah, just really pleased with the way our football team competed. I thought they were extremely physical throughout the course of the ball game. We're able to start fast in all 3 phases, defensively getting stops and offensively getting some points. The early turnover helped push momentum as well. Aaron Robinson's pick that he takes down to the 1-yard line. But I thought our kids competed extremely hard and played really smart football all day long, and obviously they were excited about the win, but we're excited about the next opponent as well. On the road against Pitt, playing really good football, extremely physical football team that challenges everything on the defense side of the ball and same offensively. So, onward to the next one, and excited about that challenge.
And now on to these nickels worth of stuff that I have for you. Quarterback question asked, quarterback question answered. Dylan Gabriel was amazing, and he has definitely shown why he has taken over as the starting quarterback of the UCF Knights. Just throwing dimes from our vantage point in the end zone. Me and my buddy just kept saying, wow! It just could not believe how accurate he was on those deep balls, and he just has a great command of the offense already, and despite the fact that Coach Heupel has not named him the starter for the Pitt game, he's starting. We all know that, and he's starting until further notice. The officiating in that game, boy, that just plain sucked. There is no other way around it. Pac-12 officials, they knock our punt returner down with no flag. They just all sorts of questionable calls. And from what I understand, this particular Pac-12 officiating crew has been known to be a little hinky on out-of-conference games, and boy, they certainly lived up to the billing on that. Well, we are a top 10 team, despite what the rankings say. I know I'm not going out on a limb here with our audience, but it just is absolutely crazy that the Knights are not ranked higher. But on the other hand, we all know the rankings are crock. It's not going to matter at the end anyway, unless some drastic things happen. And they're doing us a favor. They think they're holding us back, but they're doing us a favor because it still allows the Knights to keep that chip on the shoulder. And I don't think it matters whether we're ranked, number 6 or number 15. They're going 1-0 every week. And that's all they're concentrating on, is going 1-0 every week. And hey, hallelujah, Kirk Herbstreit is officially on the bandwagon, tweeting out about his podcast this week that it's time for people to take notice of UCF. We turned the corner with him last year after game day was here, and they called the Cincinnati game. And I like the fact that Kirk admitted he was a little stubborn coming around on the Knights. And, and that's fine, because he's entitled to his opinion, and he can love us or hate us no matter what he wants to be, which side of the fence he wants to be on. I just like the fact that, he's willing to say, this is kind of why I didn't, get behind UCF. And now that he is, the fact that he's open-minded and will admit to being able to change his opinion is a good thing. And hopefully that'll start swaying some more opinions around the nation as well. And yours truly, I'm taking the roadie to Pittsburgh, going to the Steel City for the Knights matchup with the Pitt Panthers. Heading out on Thursday morning. Going to go catch Pirates baseball game that afternoon, hang out in the Pennsylvania area for a couple of days, then catch the Knights game on Saturday. That's going to be a whole lot of fun. And by the way, this coming weekend, September 22nd, is the anniversary of UCF's very first football game back in 1979. And you can check out my series on recent editions of Knightline if you haven't already. I've interviewed several players: Mike Gullison, Michael O'Shaughnessy, Mike Stapp, Dan Burke on the most recent one, just to name a few. And I'm also extending it to my Jeff Allen Sports Talk podcast this week, featuring Ron Johnson, a defensive back on that first team back in 1979. UCF v. Pitt comes your way Saturday at 3:30 on ABC for the eastern half of the country and ESPN2 for the western half of the U.S. And by the way, the series is tied a game apiece. They've only played twice, but oh, how sweet it was when we basically boat raced them last year 45-14 and watched their guys falling down on the field trying to gasp for air and slow the clock down. The biggest game outside of UCF Pitt is SMU taking on TCU. That's our spotlight game this week, and we will break it down for you when the AAC Report continues in just a moment. Are you tired of the endless money pit of paying rent? Do you have a home you need to sell for top dollar? Talk to the Hometown Advantage award-winning real estate professional and fellow UCF Knight, Blake Blahut of Realty One Group. Blake has proven to produce results and a smooth process for his clients all across Central Florida. Whether you're looking to buy your very first home or looking to downsize or upgrade, talk to Blake Blahut. Visit him at his website, Blake'sOrlandoHomes.com, or contact him anytime at 407-748-0484. Again, Blake'sOrlandoHomes.com and 407-748-0484. Get the hometown advantage by working with Blake.
Island H2O Live, a new wave of water park.
Experience the next generation of fun at Island H2O Live. You choose the music, you choose the lighting, and you choose where to share your memorable moments at Florida's newest and most immersive water park.
Island H2O Live.
Now open in Kissimmee, located off US 192 and State Road 429 on Inspiration Boulevard.
Island H2O Live.
SMU is off to a 3-0 start by virtue of a 47-17 drubbing of Texas State. Coach Sonny Dykes.
Yeah, it was a good win. You know, I thought we played well, especially defensively in the first half. We struggled a little bit on offense. We were going to have to run the ball and be patient, and just didn't execute some things well enough in the first half as we needed to sustain drives. But it was one of those deals when the game was over. I felt like we played okay on offense, and then you go back and you look at it, and we had I think 639 yards of offense. It was the third most yards in school history, and I felt like we didn't play great on that side of the ball, and they made us run it, and I think you got to credit our offensive line. They did a good job. I think we ran for 390 yards in the game against a good defensive football team. That held Wyoming in check pretty well the week before. And Wyoming had beat Missouri, I think, the week before that. So, I felt like we played hard. I mean, our kids are playing harder. We're still making a lot of mistakes. We turned the ball over 3 times and had some issues a little bit in our kicking game that we're still trying to work through. But kids are playing hard, and I like the mentality of our team, and we'll be excited to play against a really good TCU team this week, and we just got to keep improving and getting better.
We now take a closer look at SMU versus TCU, the Iron Skillet Battle that will take place this coming weekend. And joining us now to talk about that, Billy Embody from the Pony Stampede Podcast. Billy, thanks for being here.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
Billy, for the uninitiated, can you describe what the Iron Skillet Battle means to the Metroplex area?
Yeah, in probably the early days of it, it was just, this monumental battle, I guess, between Dallas and Fort Worth. And over the last really kind of 15 years, it still has a lot of bragging rights on the line, and TCU's kind of owned it for the last, I'd say, 15 years or so. But SMU has kind of made a wave every now and again. But look, they try it. They're trying to win their first game against the Horned Frogs since 2011. So a team that right now is 3-0 and trying to really change the narrative about this rivalry game. I mean, it just hasn't kind of been one as of late.
So the Mustangs, as you mentioned, off to a 3-0 start, and they got a revenge win against North Texas. Talk about what they've been doing well so far in the first 3 games of the season.
Yeah, they've been passing the ball really well. I thought, even though Shane Buechele turned the ball over twice on Saturday night, I thought both of those throws were just kind of anomalies rather than things that we've actually seen from him on a consistent basis. But they've been throwing the ball really well. And then on Saturday night, they piled up 390 rushing yards, which was the most since 1982. So they really had a very, very strong night on the ground. And I mean, that's something that they really like to, I think, improve on. They haven't particularly run the ball consistently well in terms of yards per carry, but they were able to move the ball on the ground in a big way on Saturday night.
And how are they looking on the defensive side of the ball?
Yeah, they've been really active, really aggressive. They're really multiple defense. You can see them playing 4-down linemen, 3-down linemen, kind of 2 with a stand-up. I mean, Kevin Kane, their defensive coordinator, is pretty multiple in terms of what he likes to do. And so he likes to kind of switch things around and kind of toy with opposing offenses. But yeah, they're led by Patrick Nelson. He's third in the nation, I think, right around there in sacks. He's a linebacker, kind of safety hybrid that has been really productive the last 2 weeks. And then their defensive line is really deep. They've got probably 9-10 guys that they feel like they can rotate in and out and have success with. So they've got some depth really for the first time defensively than they've had in, gosh, since I've been covering the team. And so they're in a really good spot to be a defensive football team, as crazy as that kind of sounds with Sonny Dykes at the helm. They've had a lot of success stopping some offenses that are really high-powered. They slowed down North Texas and Mason Fine a couple weeks back. So defensively, they've been playing really well.
And TCU also coming in at 2-0. What will be the keys to the game for SMU for them to have a chance to win this game?
It's the turnover battle in this one. TCU has some question marks at quarterback. They haven't really had a guy emerge. They're probably, I think, going to start somebody different. They're going to give Max Dugan a shot. He's a true freshman, but you'll see Alex Delton, who's a Kansas State transfer. But I think the big thing, like I said, will be the turnover battle. If SMU can kind of control the ball and not turn things over, that'll give this defense, which is, I believe, had a takeaway in 15 straight ball games now, a chance to continue that. And I think that's been a key. SMU's kind of been able to feed off of turnovers and mistakes by opposing teams, and when they've limited their own, they've been really, really successful. When they did that against Houston, a ranked Houston team last year, they won, and then turned the page a couple weeks later against Memphis, and they didn't. And the story was the same last year against TCU. They were playing really well against TCU at home, and turnovers kind of killed them. So, controlling the ball, not turning it over will be critical.
There have been 98 meetings in this rivalry, and it is scheduled through this season. Are they going to continue it on an annual basis after this year?
Yeah, both Gary Patterson and Sonny Dykes have said that this thing's going to continue, and they're just both private schools, so the documents and all the agreements aren't made public. It wouldn't shock me if they kind of announced something to let people know, hey, this is going to keep going. But as of right now, it's gonna keep going on.
Well, that's definitely good news because, these kind of rivalry games are important in the landscape of college football. And this goes also way back to the Southwest Conference days, so a lot of history there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's critical for, the Dallas area, too, and Fort Worth, and to kind of have this local rivalry to continue to kind of happen. I mean, it's a lost thing in college football these days, and so I think both programs recognize it, and that's why it'll keep going.
All right, and Billy, please let the folks know where they can find you and follow you to cover SMU football.
Yeah, you can follow us at PonyStampede.com, part of the 24/7 Sports Network, and check us out there. We'll have a ton of coverage leading up to this one.
All right, sounds good. Billy Embody from the Pony Stampede Podcast, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me. Have a good one.
And for those of you who don't know why it's called the Iron Skillet Battle, SMU's website details it this way. TCU and SMU began the tradition back in 1946 during pregame festivities. An SMU fan was frying frog legs as a joke before the game. A TCU fan, seeing this desecration of the frog, went over and told him that eating the frog legs was going well beyond the rivalry, easy for me to say, and they should let the game decide who would get the skillet and the frog legs. SMU won that game in 46, and the skillet and frog legs went to SMU, and the tradition eventually became known for the Iron Skillet being passed on to the winner. So how about that? By the way, the first time in this series the two teams met was all the way back in 1915, and I think there's only been just a handful of years, maybe 5 or 6 times, that they haven't played it on an annual basis. And you heard Billy say there that it looks like they'll certainly, the plans are to continue. The Iron Skillet Battle, SMU at TCU, 3:30 FS1. And TCU leads the all-time series 51-40 with 7 ties, and they were rather easily victorious last year, 42-12. Getting to our players of the week in the AAC on the offensive side of the ball, Dylan Gabriel of UCF with his 22 of 30 passing performance for 347 yards, 4 touchdowns in the beatdown of Stanford, and helping the Knights move to 3-0. He's a co-player of the week on the offensive side of the ball, as Malcolm Perry from Navy figured in 6 touchdowns, rushing for 156 yards and 4 TDs on 24 carries, 5 of 7, 151 through the air with 2 scores in their romp over ECU. And by the way, both those guys got helmet stickers on ESPN's College Football Final. Both of them, by the way, from Joey Galloway, who says UCF does belong. Defensive Player of the Week, Harrison Hand at Temple, had a team-high 10 tackles and an interception in the victory over Maryland. And the Special Teams Player of the Week was Adam Williams of Memphis. The punter averaged 48.2 yards on 4 punts in their win over South Alabama. Some other news and notes from around the American Athletic Conference. Let's first turn to women's soccer, where it's going good for 4 American teams receiving votes in the United Soccer Coaches National Poll. Memphis is in at number 11, South Florida at 22. SMU and UCF are also receiving votes. The Offensive Player of the Week, Evelyn Vaines from USF, her second straight weekly honor, scoring 2 goals and an assist in a 3-2 win at Wake Forest up in Winston-Salem. The Defensive Player of the Week, Stasia Mallon of Memphis, anchoring the Memphis back line as they collected their 5th and 6th shutouts of the season. And the Goalkeeper of the Week is Madison Less from Cincinnati, has played all 200 minutes for the Bearcats in 2 contests this past week and registered a couple of saves against Lipscomb and a shutout with 3 saves against Xavier. Meanwhile, let's look at Men's Soccer Player of the Week honors. So on the offensive side, Sam Ashton from Memphis, a senior forward, provided all 3 goals as Memphis scored a 3-2 double overtime victory at Xavier on Saturday. The Defensive Player of the Week is Javane Brown from USF, as key part of the defense that gave up just 1 goal as South Florida went 2-0-0 on the week, including a 2-0 shutout over number 20 Louisville. And the Goalkeeper of the Week, Harrison Devenish Mears, also of South Florida, played all 180 minutes, picking up a pair of wins as the Bulls now have a record of 3-1-0. Now let's look at volleyball. Memphis is off to a historic start, second best start in their program history. They've moved to 9-0 as they sweep the Saluki Invitational in Carbondale, Illinois. Temple is also extending its best start in program history, 9-0, as they had a clean sweep of the Cherry and White Challenge in Philadelphia. So after 3 weeks of action, only 10 Division I volleyball teams remain undefeated, and of course, Temple and Memphis are 2 of those as of September the 15th. And as far as the Player of the Week honors go for volleyball, let's take a look at that. Jordan Thompson of Cincinnati, she was the top offensive player at the NKU Invitational and leading All-American Athletic Conference players with 80 kills and 5.71 kills per set last week. Defensive Player of the Week is Brandy Marquith from East Carolina, helping them to a 4-0 week, which included a road win at North Carolina State, a conference-high 87 digs, 5.44 digs per set for the week in that one. So good job happening all around. UCF volleyball is also doing quite well. They've had some tough losses to some ranked teams, but they certainly are performing at a very, very high level. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this edition of the AAC Reports, only on the Knightline Sports Network. I'm Jeff Allen. Thanks for listening.